Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of Benching Bullshitting here. And really excited that you're all joining me. It's episode 61 of Benching and Bullshitting. Last week, we didn't know this. It was episode 100 of our podcast being up all together, which is pretty cool. So big 100. So this is 101, but specifically episode 61 of Benching and Bullshitting. Again, I like to do a kind of a mic test here because I just want to make sure it works. So at some point, someone just can leave me a comment, make sure you can hear me just fine. Otherwise, I'll have to finagle with this thing. But yeah, so going pretty good right now. So we've had a few announcements and things I'll go through. And then, of course, I'll talk about the week of training. It was a good week of training. Really happy with that. And what we got here? Let's see. So I talked about how it was episode 100. That's awesome. We also got the Thomas sounds good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We have the Kolbstrong scholarship. I wanted to hit that off out the gate pretty early. We were able to raise through very generous donations. We didn't have time for fundraisers this year. We just didn't have time. We raised $4,000. So we are sponsoring 4 young athletes. I talked about that a little bit last week at the end. So if you have a young powerlifting athlete between the ages of 13, 23, okay, they can apply. Go to kolbstrongscholarship.com, fill out the application the whole month of January. And they might get picked. We have a board of people, including myself and Katie, and about 2 or 3 others. They'll read every application, and collectively we will decide who needs it the most. So please do that. Wonder at Mex, good to have you on here. What's up? If you have a young athlete, like I said, 13 to 23, if they're 11, if they are 12, it's not going to work. We are not deviating from the 13 to 23 thing. Okay, we've had a few questions about that. Well, my son's 12. Is that okay? No, it's 13. I'm sorry. It has to. We got to stick to it, because as soon as we start deviating, making exceptions, we're going to have to continue to change it further and further and get further away from what we originally wanted. So no, it will remain 13 to 23 years old, competitive powerlifter. Wonder Max, Tony, Thomas, and Dennis. Okay. What's going on, guys? Good to have you on here. I only go live on YouTube now. So thank you all for joining me here tonight. We're not doing Instagram anymore. We put it on Instagram stories that like I'm going live on YouTube, but we are not going live on Instagram. Let's see. Wonder Max says, where do I send the letter of recommendation? I want to write one for someone. You have to go to kolbstrongscholarship.com. There are awesome. Thanks, Tony. There are directions, an application like process. You got to go to kolbstrongscholarship.com and fill out the application form. Letter of recommendation. They have to like answer questions and tell us their story, things like that. What?
If it's a nomination form, they just add it right on there. If it's a letter for an athlete, they send it to that athlete and the athlete uploads it.
Okay.
I don't know if they heard me or not.
Say it louder. I won't remember.
If you are nominating the athlete, there's a nomination form. You add your letter of recommendation. There's a spot for it at the bottom of the form. Or if you're just writing one for an athlete who's going to apply themselves, you just send the letter of recommendation to them and they attach it in their section of the application. But all of it's found on the website.
There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She knows more. This whole thing was her brainchild, so she knows a lot more about it than I do.
You're still pretty good, my guy.
That was the door opening. I need that as the door. Thank you. There we go. Wonder Rex, so send it to them. Got it. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. She knows a lot more about it than I do. Yeah, 4,000. We got 4 athletes. And then we had a organization send us a profitable donation of $4,000 also. So we're already ahead for next year to have another 4 athletes. Now you could argue, well, why not just put it to this year's and sponsor 8? Well, no, we got it post January 1st. So it's going to roll over because this is the start of 2024. So it's going to start the donation process and whatever for 2025. So we are doing really good. We got here. Dennis is asking, do you utilize the bamboo bar bench at all in your training? I was for a long time. I got away from it a little bit. Jim Seitzer was kind enough to send me one back in 21 or 22. Right after I benched 13, it was 22. So I really thank him for that. I got kind of away from it. I need to do it. I need to just take the time to fucking do it. I always did it on non-bench days, so on a squat day, on a back day, stuff like that. So I do it. I've gotten away from it. I should get back into it. Let's see. Thomas says, are we going to do AMRAP April this year? I think we are. Some people don't want to bench. Some people want to deadlift. So we are not sure how we're going to structure it, but we do want to do that as a fundraiser because that brings some good revenue to this nonprofit. So we're going to do it again. We just don't know exactly how we're going to structure it this time. So details coming out soon. So besides the Kolbstrong Scholarship, again, we sponsored 3 the first year, 12 the second year, 4. So we're up to, if my math is correct, 19 athletes are going to be helped as of the end or the beginning of this third year of the nonprofit organization. So we're almost at 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. I didn't think I would ever get to 4,000. That's really cool. If you haven't subscribed yet to Jimmy Kolb on YouTube, if you could do that, please hit the like button as well if you're here with me on live. Helps me out, lets me know that you like hearing what I have to say, and it makes it worth it to come back on here and go live with you guys. Because I'm only doing YouTube exclusively now. I'm not going to Instagram, YouTube at the same time. I'm just coming on here to do this with y'all. So I got, I think we're like 20 or 15 people away from 4,000 subscribers, which is really, really awesome. I also just found out today that April 5th will mark the 4th year I've been doing Patreon. April 5th will be the 4th year on the dot to the date that I've been doing Patreon. And I've had some of you guys in there since literally day one. I've had people in there for 4 years, 3, 2, 1 month, 1 day, 1 week. You know, it's always different. Yeah, I really appreciate your guys' support. It's been quite the journey. I remember getting to double digits for the first time. I remember when I got 10 people in there, I was so excited. I've hit triple digits a couple of times, having over 100 members at some points or another. It's just such a joy to bring that content to people and that they like to see it and they enjoy it and they get value out of it too. So really enjoy that. Thomas, awesome, he says. Because we're planning to do the same in our gym for a smaller fee of entry, also combined with last man, woman standing. Gotcha. But lower level of fucking course. I don't know what that means. In our commie gym. Oh, I see. All proceeds go to KS Kolbstrong Scholarship. All right. Well, thank you so much. Dennis says, I got to move the cord out of the way. I don't fuck up my camera. Dennis says, with the bamboo, have you tried doing hold lockout or right off the chest instead of reps? I've done a combination of things. Yes, I do a combination of things. Sometimes I'll break up the eccentric concentric chain. Sometimes on the eccentric or lowering phase, I'll actually stop like 3 or 4 times and then blow it up. Or I'll lower it in one smooth motion and I'll either pause or touch and go. I'll mix it up and I'll push halfway and stop like a more press and then lock the weight out. I do all different things to make sure that bar is as unstable as possible so I can reap the benefits of the instability. Thomas, yeah, we can't start with 800-pound bench. Oh, I see which. Oh, last man. Oh, I see. You're doing a last man standing. Gotcha. I gotcha. Bit sad for all the commercial people too. I gotcha. I don't understand what you meant by that. Yeah, you already meant a last man standing style. Okay. But yeah, guys, so this week has been fantastic as far as training goes. Got back to some heavy squats yesterday, Sunday. Ironically, if you're on YouTube members or Patreon, you remember that my top squat didn't get recorded because the camera, my phone gave me the death message, your iPhone storage is full, and I didn't. I picked the weight, I was getting my breath, and then it stopped. So that was awesome for me. Deadlift is coming around. I was able to hang on to 705 on my block pulls for 2 singles strapless. So my grip is actually getting better. My bitch grip is getting better. Really happy with the progress there. And somebody on Patreon had asked me, like, what are you doing for grip? Like, how is it improving? And I said, I'm just going strapless whenever I do any type of deadlift variation, whether it be from the floor, block pull, deficit, anything that looks like a deadlift, I go strapless. That is how my grip has improved. Like no duh. Like, just don't use straps. That's one of the best ways. And so far, it's going really well. And speaking of David Harrington, grab the clip is getting better. David Harrington has quite the impressive grip strength here. This man can double overhand, not hook grip. He can double overhand 600 pounds. That's quite rare. I don't know. I've never met somebody who can do that, let alone I've only seen it a handful of times on the internet. So that's impressive. And he gave me quite a bit of help with grip here a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago. Gave me some ideas, pulling, doing back movements with towels to work the grip. He gave me some weird. It's like you hang from you're on a lap bar and you're like hanging from your wrists almost. A lot of good information. So that kind of kicked off my grip, and I was surprised. I was able to hang on to that. That's my first time going over 700 in any kind of deadlift variation strapless. I pulled 700 flat in my full power meet back when I was 20, but going over 700, even though it was only 5 pounds, that was BR for me. So my hands are getting better and more tolerant, and they're not hurting as bad when they get chewed up from the deadlift bar. And I use the Sportcraft deadlift bar, so it's got some bite to it. David Harrington says, glad the grip is getting better there. He says, false grip, dead hang, they suck. So you're not hanging on to the bar at all. You're literally, the bar is sitting like here, and you're holding it. It's quite, me being 330 pounds, it's quite awful. Winter Max, oh yeah, that's frustrating as fuck. Happens to me all the time. That's why I didn't even upload anymore. I gotcha. I forget what I was talking about now. I'm sorry. He also says my wrestling coach would have us do pull-ups holding onto a towel. Oh yeah, yeah, that sucks. That's very humblingly difficult doing movements while holding towels. Like it's very, very, very humbling. But yeah, so squats went good. Deadlift training went really well. I'm still not conditioned very well to do like a lot of movements after I squat and deadlift. Like I've been benching. I've been specializing in bench for 19 years. Like I can have a bench workout that lasts 5 or 6 hours and do, if you include benching, all the accessory movements, up to 7 or 8 different things. Like I could do that all fucking day. I'm just not conditioned very well for squat and deadlift, so it's going slower. I can't do quite as much. I have to build up to it. Plus, traveling a lot has not done me any favors as far as being consistent with training, so my squat and deadlift have suffered. But yeah, so Saturday was interesting because I've had 3 good weeks in a row of equipped bench, like on the bench. So I was like, okay, I need to be a little bit more methodical. If I want to get to that 1,500 pounds, I need to be smart. I need to make sure my body is not getting torn down like my damn forearm that keeps flaring up all the time. I need to try to make that not happen. So I need to be methodical and keep my body guessing. And if there's a way that I could use, it sounds ridiculous, but use like a sub-maximal weights around 1,000 pounds. That's going to be a break on my body, but it'll be difficult if I choose a difficult variation. So I did 4 press on Saturday. Like I said, 3 weeks in a row, I'm sure to bench. So I chose to do 4 press. That way it's different. It's a challenge. It's a curveball. So I did that. Hit a PR. Now, the last time I did 4 press in equipment heavy, actually probably at all, was in, I think it was September, October, November. Yeah, it was September because it's been almost 4 months, almost 4 months since I did a max effort floor press in equipment, and I managed 1,005 for a triple. So after 4 months, of not doing that variation at all, if I can remember correctly, I hit 1,005 for 4 reps on the floor press, which was huge for me. I also cataloged what I had eaten the day before. That will be up on YouTube tomorrow morning around 10 o'clock, I believe, in the morning. Another day in the life of eating with me. That's one of my most highly viewed, most commented on videos I've ever put up on YouTube, which is fucking astounding. I don't know why. But I got a lot of good response, enough for me to do it again. So I consumed, I think we got it around 5,200 calories on Friday. And I also drank 5,000 milligrams of sodium from Friday morning till Friday night before I went to bed. So I was loaded up on calories and loaded up on sodium. Had a fantastic bench day floor press. I love floor pressing and equipment. I've noticed a kind of a trend where people are doing that more often. I think that's fantastic. I start seeing people doing all the time in their slingers, their inserts, their full shirts. I think it's got a shit ton of value. I mean, clearly, if I'm doing 1,005 for 4, I maybe could have. Owen was like, "Why'd you stop?" I was like, "Something told me to stop." It's just something. I was doing with a little bit of whip on the bar because I was using pound plates. I hate floor pressing with kilos. I should probably just suck it up and do it because it's going to be better for me. But I haven't used that much weight on an F8 bar with pound plates in years. And I was dealing with a lot of reverberations, and 4 reps kind of felt like that was it. I definitely was shooting for 5. I probably could have done 5. I'll have to wait till next time to do it because I can talk about, well, I could have done this and I could have done that, but I didn't fucking do it. Gotta wait till next time. So we'll wait till next time. So we got 4, really happy. And then this coming weekend will be fantastic. We got some guests coming in from Massachusetts. That's one fuck of a drive. I know because we did it last year. We went to Salem and Jesus, 9.5 hours. So yeah, they'll be coming down. There are a couple of between 2 and 4 people. Clients of Nick Benarakis, Bench and Benny, Big Benches on YouTube and Instagram are coming down. Possibly Nick Benarakis himself want to come down and bench. And it's also next Saturday, bench day, is Katie's birthday. And we'll be celebrating that and hanging out with our friends. And after we bench and have these guests coming in from Massachusetts, we'll be going to one of our favorite restaurants, Honey Pig in Manassas. Korean barbecue hot pot joint. Fucking excellent. If you have a Honey Pig near you, there's only 4 locations in the entire country, so it's not really big. But if you happen to be in, I think it's one's in Fort Worth, Texas. There's one here in Manassas, Virginia. There's 2 or 3 others, so they're not. It's not a big chain at all. It's a little expensive too, but it's Korean hot pot, man. So that'll be Saturday. Really excited to have our guests come in, and of course, just benching is my gig, dude. So. What we got here? Thomas says, my raw floor press got stuck for a couple weeks in a row. Went over to Spoto press on a bench. Now Spotos almost match my 1 Max on bench for triples. That's some good progress. Going to see this week what some new PRs are. Fantastic. Good to hear the progress, Thomas. I also saw your voice message. I clicked on it, didn't listen to it, swiped it and made it unread so I could come back to it and just got lost in the sauce. I will get back to you, I promise. Really quick, too, if you are a customer with Element, they've just so recently sent out a bundle pack to their customer base. So we got that right here. This is a electrolyte drink mix medley. There's 3 in here. Chocolate chai, which I will not be drinking. Chocolate mint and a chocolate raspberry. Very interesting. I believe there's only... I haven't opened it yet. Let's find out. Let's see. I went ahead and got the subscription to Element. So instead of paying $45 for a pack, I save a little bit and spend $39.99. And we've got... It is 3. Let's see. Okay. I like the packaging too. That's really nice. So these are meant to be drinking hot. It says right here, enjoy hot. That's what it says. So I guess these flavors are meant, it's like hot cocoa or like hot chocolate or something. So again, chocolate chai, not drinking that one. Chocolate mint, that sounds good. And chocolate raspberry, very interesting. So I will report back on this probably next week when I try 2 out of the 3 of these, because I'm not drinking that chai one. Fucking no way, dude. Chai is not my thing. I will report back and see if those flavors work out. I'm going to drink them hot like it says to do. So, but otherwise, the week was great, man. Tuesday back workouts are always fantastic. Me and my boy Chris Fisher slay back every Tuesday morning. And Jesus Christ, we did something really fucking stupid. We were doing our Penlay rows, our at the knee level Penlay rows, real fucking heavy. Did a couple of down sets. Then we decided to shrug. We shrug a lot. I actually am so obsessed with shrugging. I'll get to the rest of the story here in a minute. That Chris took it upon himself to find me a very coveted piece of literature here. The Kelso's Shrug book. Look at that. I've been looking for this thing. I've been wanting this book for years, and I don't read, and I will read the shit out of this book. Kelso's Shrug book. Just a book on different shrugs, variations, workout programs. It says something very peculiar on the back here. What's it say? Where is it? Here it is. Trap bar and rib cage enlargement programs are included. So I used to see these all the time for sale in the Iron Mind magazines, and I never got one. So Chris bought it for me. So I'm obsessed with shrugs. That's like one of our favorite things to do. So we did buddy shrugs. Hey, I got something real fucking sucky in mind. We did buddy shrugs. So we warmed up, got to 5 plates, bars in the rack. He's on this side. I'm on this side. I step up, shrug it for 10, put it down. He steps up, 10. I step up, 10. He steps up, and we go back and forth till one of us quits. Now, Chris has some years on me. All the credit to him. He got to his last set and managed 5 and said, I'm done. He just said, you got me. And I proceeded to do my last set. Got to 80 fucking reps with 500 pounds in the shrugs. It was very intense. In the span of about, I think it took us 10 minutes to do that. It was very intense. What we got here? Dennis says the chocolate mint is pretty good in hot chocolate. Okay, thank you very much. That's the one I will start with. That's the one that looked the best to me. Wonder MX says, speaking of flavors, update. The kibble tastes like arse. More like bland barley. They smell really good, though. Hard as fuck, so I'll just soak them. You're talking about the gorilla kibble. Is that what you're referring to? You actually did it? I thought you were joking. You got gorilla kibble, right? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, that's what you said. Yes, sir. I'll be damned. So Wonder at Max was alluding to gorilla kibble last week here on the live, and I thought he was just fucking with me, and he actually went and got some. Bland barley, and they smell really good. Hard as fuck, so I just soak them. Oh, good grief. I mean, dude, if you become a fucking silverback, I'll be jealous as fuck. And he says, I'll keep you posted. Keep me posted. That's awesome. Brad, welcome on to YouTube here. He says, what do you do to train your extensors in your hand and forearms? I do a lot. I do the wrist roller. We have a makeshift, a poor man's wrist roller. So I set up a barbell in our power rack about chest height, maybe slightly above chest height. We don't have cord. I could probably buy some, but I haven't, or a chain or something. I loop a band around the bar, bring it down to the floor, put a carabiner on it, then loop that through a plate, and then hoop it around and hook it. So I got a band with a weight on the end, and I do the wrist roller. And the band has to stretch first before the weight will leave the floor. So it's a long set wrist roller, okay? Besides that, I'll just take a dumbbell. I'll put my arm on a bench, like the edge of a bench pad, and do extensor work. I will never do that with a barbell. It's terrible for your joints. Dumbbells give you free range of motion and natural joint alignment. I also do a lot of mace work for radial and ulnar deviations and rotations with a mace. I do a whole bunch of stuff, man. If you want to watch my full workouts, everything that I do in the gym, 5 days a week with full commentary over top of it, Brad, I do run a Patreon. for $10. If you want to subscribe for $10 a month and watch what I do, I also have YouTube members. If you don't want to go on to Patreon, YouTube members as well as $10. You can watch all the workouts that I do from set 1 to my final set of my final movement, full commentary over top of it. I've been doing it for April 5th will be 4 years. I've been running Patreon, so that's awesome. So if you want to watch those workouts in full detail, that's where you need to go. Kolbstrong on Patreon or subscribe to Jimmy Kolb on YouTube members. Wonder Max says, at first I was, but as I kept talking about it, it said, tempting. Let's do it. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. And what Thomas says, your new nickname will be One Bite Kibble instead of One Rep Max. As long as it doesn't make you unhealthy. I mean, there's no harm in that, I guess. Brad says, Benny got me using the X-Hand bands, and it works wonders for my angry forearms. I don't handle your kind of load. The guys will be there, I believe. Oh, okay. You're with Bench and Benny. Fantastic, man. Great. Yeah. I forget who reached out to me. It wasn't Nick. It was one of his guys. I don't remember which one. Maybe Sam or my phone right here. What's his name? See if I can find it. I want to get it right. It's not Antonio. It's not Dash. Nope. It's not Dylan. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. A few of you guys are coming down from Massachusetts. That's a long fucking drive. Really appreciate it. I'm really flattered. It's going to be a fun time, and Saturdays are always busy. Have everybody in on Saturdays. Yeah, I used to use I bought some bands, extensor bands, right? Yeah, for the extensors. That also is very, very important for overall hand health and the balance of strength. Everybody wants that crushing grip, crushers and grippers and stuff. But nobody works the extensors, the antagonist muscles to the crushing grip. So very, very important. So keep doing that. It's also a good way to keep your elbows healthy as well. If anybody has questions, I mean, I'm here for that. I know I've been talking for the last 27 minutes and 20 seconds, but if you have questions, I am here to answer you guys' questions. So please drop them in the chat box so I can get to those. Otherwise, I will just keep talking for the next 30 minutes. I'm trying to keep these things around an hour. I think that's about tolerable for most people. You go above that, and then, then it gets kind of boring, monotonous. Alexander Ramon's on here. What's up, man? How we doing? Sabrina sent me the videos with the cambered bar bench. That looked awful and very tough, and I'm glad it was. That's exactly what I was looking for her. So, and she said it was very awkward, but she managed 315. That's pretty damn good on a cambered bar for board work. So, I'm glad she enjoyed that. He says, Benny judged the first meet I ran in 2014. Shit, you've been doing those for a while now. Excellent. Good dude. I met him several times. I think I met him for the first time in Belmar, New Jersey in 21, if I'm not mistaken. He was there. I got to actually meet him and talk to him. Nice fucking guy. Nice guy. I love talking to Benny. So, yeah, that's most. Oh, got one more thing to showcase. It's not a product that I use. It's not a thing that I encourage other big benchers to get into. However, this is exciting for me because one of my good friends at the gym, Judy, had a shaker cup. Plain old shaker cup, right? Nothing special about it. And I got instantly jealous. I was like, where in the fuck did you get that? And Katie was nice enough to take it upon herself to go and find one immediately and order it on the spot, because this shaker cup, if you're listening on the podcast, you will not be able to see what I'm about to grace you with, has Sam Squanch on it. See? And it says, can you spot me, bro? I'm a big cryptid fan myself, and I annoy Katie with my obsessiveness of watching Sam Squanch on YouTube and stuff. But yeah, so that's nice quality there. It's the newer blender bottle with the rounded base, which is nice because you don't get the chunks. The blender ball can actually completely smush out, kind of round out down at the bottom here, and really get those chunks out of the shake. Because I have a real problem with textures and stuff, and yeah. So if I have a chunky way shake, I spit it out immediately. So I'm really glad they made that change, because before they were good. When they just had the flat bases, a flat squared off, corner, a round ball cannot get down in that corner, but a rounded base is actually the perfect design for that. So glad they made that change. Tony says, went to urgent care. That's not good. I'm sorry to hear that. Doctor asked about my diet, 230 grams of protein, yada, yada, yada. Mentioned heavy bench, and she said not possible. Showed her your 1,400 pound bench. She was floored. Well, I'm flattered. Thank you so much. Awesome. Good to hear. Well, I'm sorry you were in the urgent care, though. That sucks. I don't wish that upon anybody, and I hope you get better. Hope it's not too bad. Quentin says, what's some favorite cryptids of yours, other than Bigfoot, of course? Well, some Bigfoot. Sam Squanch is on the top of that list, of course. Mothman, because we actually went to the one and only, world's biggest and only Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where the Mothman story originated and the movie was based off of the Mothman prophecies, right? Got to go see where the bridge was that collapsed, and like 100 and no, it wasn't 100. It was like 68 people died when the bridge collapsed into the river. We went to Point Pleasant because we were in West Virginia in February for a competition that Chris Jividen hosted, the Hillbilly Havoc, and that's where I benched 1350. And the day before, Friday, we drove up to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, went and saw the Mothman Museum. That was pretty fucking sweet. And of course, got to see the area. It's a kind of a piss poor little town. It was a very rinky dink, very small. We got to see the Mothman, the statue, and go into the museum. Very interactive. And I think I got left there with a mug with Mothman on it. Besides that, I mean, I think the Wolfman or Dogman. That when you hear some of these compelling stories, you hear, the people telling their stories and their experiences and their encounters. The Dogman stories are the ones that like really give you the goosebumps sometimes. The Bigfoot stories do too. That's some of the most compelling, but like the Dogman stories too, like, oof, those are so Dogman. I think skinwalkers are considered cryptids as well. Those stories can get pretty fucking creepy. The Skinwalker Ranch, of course, all the things that have come out of there, and the portals and the aliens and the lights and the creepy shit and the mutilations and just all that shit. I mean, yeah. So we listened to a lot of last podcasts on the left as well. So that's one of our favorites. Anyhow, what we got here? The X748 says, I'm thinking about purchasing Pharrell F8 bench shirt. Do you recommend 2 or 3 ply? Well, it depends on your experience. So if you have never used one before, I would recommend a 2 ply. The 3 ply is pretty extreme. The 2 ply is going to be more manageable for you. It also depends if you have experience in shirts, period. Are you a poly bencher? Are you going from raw to equipped immediately and no in between? Like what? I need to know your experience level before I make a recommendation. But off the gate, I'm thinking 2 ply would be the answer for you. Wonder at Mex says, haha, rinky dink. First time hearing that, I'm going to start using it. Yeah, it's just kind of something we used to say in Ohio. Just means like small and kind of chintzy and kind of, it's just something we used to say. Let's see. Jeff, I believe. Yeah, maybe it was Jeff. I should be better about this. Jeff. Lindsay, Paul, Mara, Dylan, Jeff Johnson. I almost thought it was Jeff Johnston, the overkill athlete, the bencher. I was, Jeff Johnston. There was a message request. I'm like, I've talked to him before. It's Jeff Johnson. Yes, Jeff Johnson is the one who contacted me, and I sent him the address for the gym, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. Let's see. You're going from raw to the bench shirt. So definitely, there's, obviously if you were like a single ply poly bench shirt, you were going into the F8, I would still recommend the 2 ply. Going from raw to an F8, I can't recommend anything above a 2 ply. That we do have single plies at AndersonPowerlifting.com back here. Anderson Powerlifting. But they are very, very thin. They're designed for the Texas high school powerlifters down in Texas, and THSPA, Texas High School Powerlifting Association. They are THSPA approved shirts down there. I would just go with the 2-ply. Maybe get one that's a little bit big. If you want to call Anderson Powerlifting there, you can tell them that I sent you. Say that Jimmy Kolb sent me to order a 2-ply F8, but I don't know my size. What do you recommend? Tell them your experience level. We know each other very well. You either talk to Sue or Kevin. Tell them I sent you. You have no idea what your size need. Make sure you tell them your experience level, have your sizes, like your arm length, your arm circumference, chest circumference, your body weight. Those are things you're going to need. You can also use my code, Kolbstrong, my Instagram handle. I'll just put that right here just in case I forget. If you use this code at AndersonPowerlifting.com, this is for everybody. Also, if you use Kolbstrong at Anderson Powerlifting, you get 10% off your entire order. The only thing that's excluded from that is the F8 Sportcraft bench bar. That will not work for the bench bar, but for everything else, the bench shirts, the squat suits, the briefs, the wraps, the knee sleeves, elbow sleeves, chalk, ammonia, anything, belts, singlets, 10% off, AndersonPowerlifting.com when you use code Kolbstrong, KOLBSTRONG. So please go with the 2-ply, I think. That's probably your best bet. Oh, Owen's on here. I'll definitely spot you, Jim. Sweet. Owen Donahue, one of my best friends and been a training partner of mine for quite a few years, and one of the men who helped hand off my 1,401-pound bench press in July. So glad to have you on here. I'll see you here in a few days. Maybe tomorrow. Are you in tomorrow? Tomorrow morning, we're doing back. If you're there. If not, see you Wednesday. I need to get this fucking cord out of the way. Hang on one sec. I don't want to fuck up. Hang on. This cord is really it's covering up half my chat, but okay. I fixed it. Let's see. Gravestrong says, I got my Super Katana 1-ply LLC low cut collar. So it's LCC, low cut collar. I am not figuring it out. Okay. Gravestrong, if you are on Instagram, please DM me some videos, DM me some questions. I can talk to you back and forth a lot more in detail. I don't know what's going on. If you want to describe what's going on right now, you can. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram, just DM me. It's Kolbstrong, that same code that I gave you. Kolbstrong on Instagram. Please DM me and I'll help you out. They are tricky. I use katanas, all different types of katanas for 13 years, both in training and competitively. That's the only shirt I ever fucking use is poly, single ply, double ply, triple ply, open back, closed back, grid stitch, not grid stitched, 2-ply arm, 1-ply chest, 2-ply arm, 3-ply chest, katanas for 13 years. They are motherfuckers to figure out. But if you need help, just DM me on Instagram and I will help you out. Brad says, I'm actually a member too, just haven't been active on Instagram. Gotcha. Very, very good. Gotcha. Tony says, I have a good friend that stood 20 to 4 feet from a 9-foot squat. She damn near crapped his shorts. I would. You fucking serious? Like, think about it. I mean, if you really think about it, whether you believe it or not, just think hypothetically, whether you believe it or not, just think hypothetically of a silverback gorilla. When it awkwardly stands on its back 2 legs, I think they stand 5 foot, 4.5, 300 or 400 pounds, and they are 10 times stronger than the strongest man on the fucking planet. So you can look up this. I don't know how they figured this shit out, but it has like a crushing hand force of 4,000 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood. Just, it almost doesn't seem real how strong these animals are. Now take that and double it minimum to a 7, 8, 9 foot bipedal creature. And just imagine the immense, and you can listen to all the testimonies and the stories, and it's really cool to think that it could be real. There's no proof to say that it is or is not. We need some physical evidence to obviously prove. Eyewitness testimony is one of the weakest testimonies and pieces of evidence you could ever fucking have, but at the same time, it's very, very compelling how it's remained the same throughout the world. Everywhere you go, every culture has its own stories and own legends and own testimonies, and they're all very, very eerily similar. Yeah, let's see. Wonder Mac says, "Oh, and since you were talking about the creepy stuff, I know some people that live close to the Appalachian Mountains. That's where we live. And was telling me that there's stuff in those woods you don't talk about. No shit. Yeah. I've not personally had any kind of interaction like that, but I have creeped myself the fuck out. And the thing people forget, they're like, oh, it's not possible. Oh, the US is so populated. We as human beings can't even really, like, realistically fathom the own size of the planet that we're on. Like, the actual size of the earth is not something that we can actually comprehend. You can say, oh, it's so many miles in circumference and it's so and blah blah blah, but we can't actually fathom that. You know what I'm saying? Like, these distances of our own fucking planet that we're sitting on right now are huge, just gargantuan. So yeah, there's tons of uninhabited, somewhat even unexplored forests and woods in our own country. But man, I've been out at my mom's. She lives in the boondocks in Ohio, which is a hot spot. Ohio and Pittsburgh area, just like the West Coast with Oregon, Washington, and California. Those are hot spots as well. Obviously, very, very famous for Bigfoot and everything. And I've been out in those woods, even in the house, just up late at night, just absolutely fucking creeping myself the fuck out where I can't move or sleep or do anything. I'm totally alone. It's very interesting. You know, keep an open mind. The X748 says, thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, reach out to me, man. Just DM me on Instagram. I will help you out. Eric, what's going on? Hey, what's going on with you, man? Good to have you on here. Gravestrong says, I am the only one with a closer grip, but I can't get a touch. Okay. I got to remember raw to venture. Okay, you're about the F8 on Anderson. Okay, you're with the LCC. You have the low cut color. I am only strong with a closer grip, but I can't get a touch. That makes sense. Wide grip, I can almost touch, but no power basically feels like raw. Okay. Let me ask you one question about that LCC katana that you have. When you lay down and you set up, can you by yourself reach up to the bar and set your own hands at maximum grip? Can you do that by yourself? That's my first question for you. What it sounds like is the shirt is too damn big. So if you go with a closer grip, you have now severely increased. If you have, I'm just using easy numbers, these might not be realistic. Let's say you go with maximum wide legal grip and your stroke, your touch to lockout distance is 8 inches. When you go close, now you have increased that stroke to 12, 13 inches, maybe even more than that. So you're increasing the distance, and this is the material when it starts to bind up in the bottom and how much distance you have to travel. It's just not going to work. Bench shirts are designed to be used with a maximum grip. So when you go with a bench shirt, you always want to go maximum grip to preload the shirt as much as possible before the bar even leaves the rack. But if the shirt's too big, which is why I asked you if you can set your own hands, that might be the culprit here. That's what it sounds like. Got to hydrate real quick. Try to keep that quiet because I don't like mouth noises. I'm sure you all don't either. Okay. Brad says, I just ordered a double ply Widowmaker. Sue was unreal. I hope that means she was good to you. I'm sure she was because it's Sue. And she's a nice, very, very, very kind soul. She is awesome. Tony says he had a 357 Magnum but couldn't manage a shot, way too scared. I think a 357 Magnum wouldn't fucking do anything. I don't think it would fucking. It's not big enough. Again, hypothetically, if it exists or doesn't, but just think about it. Think about a gorilla that's 8-9 feet tall and how massive and strong that thing is. Any handgun is going to be too fucking small. High calibered rifles might be where you might start to feel a little bit of security there, but a handgun, you're absolutely SOL shit out of luck, dude. We're talking about cryptids on benching and bullshitting. I love it. This is awesome. Eric says, I spent 3 months trying to get a touch of my super katana, and then a month ago, I slipped on ice and fractured my right wrist. Oh, fuck, man, I'm sorry. So now I have to start back over with training. That sucks. That's very. I'm glad that you didn't get hurt worse, and I'm glad that you have to start back over. It'll come back quick. It'll come back quicker than you think. Go slow. Listen to your physician. Listen to your doctor. Of course, don't start too early. Make sure it's taken care of. Make sure it's healed. Start slow. Start light. It's going to suck for a while, but you will come back faster than you think. I'm really glad that you didn't get hurt worse because my grandpa slipped on ice probably 10 years ago or so, directly on, and he was in his 10 years ago he was 70, so he might have been more like 10 or maybe 12 or 15 years ago. He was in his like late 60s, early maybe 70. He fell on ice and cracked his head open, and someone found him in time and he was able to live. So that shit's fucking serious. If you really think about the human body, we're very, very delicate. You can have a slip and just fall on the ground and be really fucked up. Like our bodies are very frail as these organic beings that we are. But yeah, I'm glad you're not hurt worse, like I said. Gravestrong says, I can grab Max with if I swim my arms out hard enough and I don't crank the collar down. Okay, well, okay. So the answer is yes, you can set your hands by yourself. I wish I could make the katana feel like my supercharged ram, but I was excited for the shirt and I'm at a loss. Okay. The supercharged ram is awesome. I love that piece. I used it a long time. A couple of years ago, I switched to the Widowmakers from F8 Customs, and I have not gone back. But the supercharged ram was a very, very nice piece. The thing is, the supercharged ram is made of wrap material, as are band shirts, as are Widowmakers, slingshots, the metal catapult. They're made of wraps. They have elastic properties. And poly material does not. Katanas do not have as much elastic property. It's high dense polyester fabric that has to bind and contort and stretch under maximum load, and there's tons of pressure on the body, and it's very, very different. So the katana, unfortunately, is never going to feel like a supercharged ram. It's frustrating as fuck, and poly just sucks and is super fucking hard. Very hard to master. So the very first thing is you can grab the bar at max width by yourself. Even though you might have difficulty doing it, it still should not happen. So that tells me the shirt's too big. Being single ply. Now, if you were in a double ply, I'd say, okay, that's fine. Being single ply, you should not be able to set your hands yourself. That chest plate is too big. That chest plate needs to be brought in. You should not be, maybe you could set one hand. This other hand, you should absolutely need help setting. You should not be able to grab the bar at max width. That shirt is too big for being single ply. And the second thing, like I just explained, a katana is worlds different, 180, black and white, totally different than a supercharged ram because of the material that's made of. High dense polyester fabric, as opposed to wrap material that has interwoven rubber, which is why you can take a wrap and stretch it like this and it returns. It's different. All right, Wonder at Max. See you next week, dude. Thanks for tuning in, Eric. No problem. Gravestrong says it's a size 50. Okay, that's the size that I used. So let's keep this in mind for 1 second. He says it's a size 50. I am 5'9", 205 pounds, very top heavy. Okay. You're wearing a size 50, and you're 5'9", 205. I wore a size 50 at 5'5" and 320. So you saying that you're 5'9", 205, I would put you in the neighborhood of needing probably a 46 or a 44. So that shirt is just gigantic on you. Now you say you're top heavy, that's fine and everything. I think you should size the fuck down. Now, if it's already broken in, which means it's going to kind of be conform to your body shape and your uniqueness and whatever, because after a while, a poly bench shirt will kind of conform to your shape of your chest and your arms and your structure and kind of mold to you and work in unison. So if that's the case and it's broken in and you've used it for a while, you could just send that in. Now, I don't know where you got it. If you got it from Anderson Powerlifting, you can send it back to them with directions in the box. So put it in the box, write down some alterations you want done, inch off the chest, half inch off the sleeves, whatever you want, add a collar to it, whatever. Send it back and they will do the alterations for you. They charge per alteration. On the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what they are. I have to check the website, andersonpowerlifting.com. If you got it from Titan, same thing, send it back to Titan. They will alter it for you. Now, if you bought the shirt from Titan, you cannot turn around and send it to Anderson to get alterations. They won't do it. You have to buy the shirt from Anderson for them to do alterations for you. Just keep that in mind. Now, my code, the Kolbstrong code, does not work with alterations. That's a whole different entity, okay? So, yeah, you should definitely, if that shirt is just, if it was somebody else's, if you don't like it at all, if it's just too damn big and floppy, you could get it sized down or just keep that as a training shirt. Might be a good training shirt to use. If it's a bigger shirt on you, you get less out of it. Okay. Use more muscle when you bench. Hey, or a warm-up shirt, get a different one, get sized down, call Anderson, talk to Kevin, talk to Sue, say, hey, I am 5'9", 205 pounds. I have a 50. It's not working. You can tell me you talk to me and say, I need to size down. Do I need to go with a 44 or 46? They'll point you in the right direction. And on that brand new katana, my code will work. Kolbstrong will get you 10% off that katana. Let's see. Paul Bennett says, what's your favorite accessory for building a raw bench? Well, reverse grip bench is what built my raw bench up when I used to do that shit a few years ago. Reverse grip bench. The reverse grip bench actually became my strongest variation of raw bench. So reverse grip. I've always been a big fan of JMs with dumbbell and easy bar. Yeah, I mean, I do those as well. I do JMs on incline. I can't do them flat. I don't know why. I'm just not good at them. That's great. And then the X748 says the reverse grip that you do, is that to help you on the top end to lock out? It's to help me bench better everywhere. It is a superior way to bench. Now, people say, well, if it's a superior way to bench, then why don't you compete with it? I get that part. It's about tolerance because the bar is not sitting horizontally in the palm like this, okay? It is sitting vertically in the palm like this. So the bar sits horizontal in the palm, not horizontal. You can see where the bar actually sits right here in my hand. But so all that weight is pushing down right on this bone, right fucking here. It's very fucking painful. When I was doing reverse grip all the time, super heavy, twice a week, I worked up to doing full range. I did 900 for a triple in like one of my slingers, one of my F8 Widowmakers. That was so fucking painful. So the idea of putting 1,400 pounds or more in my hands, not doing that. So that's why. But yeah, no, that's to help me just bench better, period. It's a absolute tricep annihilator. And you say here at the bottom, I believe Anthony Clark used to compete reverse grip. He was the one that kind of made it popular in the competitive world of powerlifting. I know the what were their names? The Barbarian Brothers. They did a reverse grip all the time, more as an exhibition. But Anthony Clark made it popular in the competitive powerlifting circuit. Let me see. I'm behind. Thomas says, I fully agree with you. You should not be able to get your max width grip in a one-ply poly. Yes. But how did you manage then your setup back in the day in the Fed that should not be named? I was young enough that some of these current rules that I follow don't apply. And when I was competing in the Fed that will not be named, I just had to suffer through it and do it. I would grab the bar and just literally like walk my fingers out to reach maximum grip. Now, the shirt I was wearing was not like super fucking tight. So it wasn't like I had to start like here and walk out. I was probably about, a hand width away from the ring. So I just had to like kind of scoop them out myself. It wasn't a big deal. But I was a younger man then. And again, a lot of these current rules that I use in the equipped lifting don't apply. It didn't apply then because I've grown and got wiser and older. Tony says, I fell 15 feet off a ladder. That sucks. Landed chest first on a metal 5-gallon can. Doctor said if I hadn't worked out heavily, my ribs would be snapped. Still hurt like a bitch. I'm sure it did. Again, I'm glad that you did not get more seriously injured because that sucks. I don't wish that upon anybody. David Harrington, if it helps, single ply lifter. Okay, I was coaching David for a while. If it helps, my Super Katana started as a 44 when I was 215. So there's a good reference for you as well. Very, very good. Thank you, David, for that reference. That's great. Yeah, your shirt's too big, bro. If you were wearing a 2-ply, I wouldn't have anything to say about it. There's something else going on, but that single ply is too big. Dennis says, have you ever dumped any benches on your face or stomach? My first time trying to touch in a comp, I dumped it on my stomach, wasn't sore at all somehow. The most weight I've dumped into my belly is, I was in California at a USPA. at a US at a USPA meet. Trying to get that out without vomiting. I hadn't learned my lesson yet, so it was USPA was brand new. I didn't know any better, but I dumped 848 into my belly. Yeah, and it didn't hurt because they caught it. It was not a big deal. The most I've sent over my head, but it got caught on the body savers, so it didn't actually hit my face. Was make sure this is accurate. Was 1,004. Yeah. So it doesn't happen very often, but it has. I mean, I've learned from it too. You know, you learn from your mistakes. DVE835-6 says, can they make your shirts in whatever color you want, or are they all black? Red ones always look great. I remember Chris Confessor, haven't heard that name in a while, in the 90s with red polys back in the day. You can. Titan makes katanas in red, blue, and black. They've also done pink for breast cancer awareness. Rudy from Overkill has black, red, and a gray, like a gray line. SDPs, Inzerd, they sell red, black, purple. I prefer black. I don't like color. Like I always wear black, like everything. So I don't like color at all. But they can. Gravestrong, I'm so annoyed. The collar strangles me if I go max grip. Also, if I crank the collar down, I can barely get pinkies on the ring. Hell, I should have just got a band shirt. Got it from Titan. Okay. Again, Gravestrong, open invitation to you as well. If you were on Instagram, DM me. Send me videos. Send me things. I will help you get through this. They are bitches. Those katanas are fucking bitches to make work for you. They are very, very, very finicky, difficult shirts to make work. But when you do make them work, the return is fucking amazing. Okay? Just send me things. Yeah, if the collar strangles me if I go with max grip, okay, so that means the collar's high, you got least amount of tension on the chest plate, which is why you can grab the bar by yourself. If I crank the collar down, I can barely get pinkies on the ring. That's okay. You should not be able to grab the bar by yourself. That's okay. When you as the lifter, your job when you're in a tight piece of equipment, your job is not to set your own hands. Your job is to make sure you are on the bench correctly and properly tucked and arched and set. Your handoff guy then needs to set your hands for you. So you don't have to sacrifice. If you have a perfect setup on the bench and you are planted and your shoulder blades are pinched and depressed, you have a perfect arch and perfect legs, and then you move out of position to try to set your own hands, you just sacrificed all that setup and all that work for nothing. Now you're fucked because you're out of position and your attempt is going to be follied. So it is your handoff guy's job to get your hands out for you. That is not your job. But please, again, open invitation for everybody, not just these other two. If you ever want to talk to me directly about training, about bench shirts, anything, just DM me on Instagram. It's Kolbstrong, one word, KOLBSTRONG. You can DM me and we'll talk bench shirts and training. Just send me videos and we'll work through it. I believe I read that one. Gravestrong. I can hit 500 in a supercharged ram and my Widowmaker with a closer than max grip. And I really thought I'd just be a beast in the katana. He says, not the case. They are very, 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 it's worlds apart. It is totally different. I promise. That's why I think there is value. Even though there's a lot of people that aren't going poly anymore, myself included right now. that never get into poly at all. They just go straight into band shirts and stuff. But I really think there's value. I can attest to this. I was in katanas for 13 years competitively before I got into a band shirt, and there's real value in learning how to make poly work, building up a big bench in poly, getting the technique, because it is a perfect example of technical mastery to make a weight touch in poly. It is so beautiful to see it done. It's so hard to do. And then you get to a band shirt. Yes, there's a learning curve. Yes, it's different material, different construction. You have to learn that. But it definitely carries over. Your technique, what you've learned from poly, 100%, 1,000% carries over to the band shirts. Absolutely. They're very different. It can be humbling. It can be frustrating. It's very difficult working with poly and katanas specifically. He says, a non-complaint about my poly shirt. What's a good fed to start in? Well, I don't personally recommend any federations that use combo racks, because in my opinion, I think those feds that use combo racks are kind of garbage. So I recommend RPS, IPA, APF. No, strike that last one. Not anymore. Sorry. I repeat myself. IPA, RPS. What else is there? XPC. I don't know, man. I only do IPA meets, so go with IPA. Oh, Jesus. Powerlifting is cool. Says, hi, Jimmy. First time here. I have a question for you. Good to have you on here. First time listener. Awesome. Thank you for joining me here tonight. At the bottom here, he says, I recently bought an Oni. That's interesting. My first shirt, any advice? Oni is a Japanese company that makes poly bench shirts. I think they only make poly bench shirts. They don't even make poly suits. It's kind of interesting. My buddy Paul Stein bought an Oni bench shirt off of eBay or something. It's very peculiar design to it. Get into it. Start with light weights first. Don't try to go super fucking heavy. You have to take that poly material and start breaking it in nice and slow, working with those fibers, getting those fibers to move and open and stretch before you actually start to make the thing open and stretch with heavy weight. So start with lightweight, sub-maximal weights, do lots of reps, like sets of 10 with that shirt, get the material moving, maybe add a little bit of water to the chest plate to get it kind of open and moving, warm water, because cold water sucks when you get it on your tits. Work off the boards. Then once you start feeling like the shirt is actually kind of breaking in and getting a little bit bigger on you, start working down the boards, 3-board, 2-board, 1-board, learn the groove of the shirt to get a full touch. Then from there, you can start jacking the shirt down. You can twist the sleeves, do whatever you want to do. Send it back to the manufacturer, get it altered if they do that. I don't know much about Oni besides they are out of Japan, and he says it's a single ply extremely tight sleeves too. So work with it slowly. Don't be in a hurry. Also, I always wondered, how do you deal with bruising? You just fucking deal with it, man. It's always going to happen. Every time you get into a poly and you start working with it, you're going to lose skin. You're going to get bruising. I used to bleed down my arms. I flipped my katana inside out one day. There was like a white string kind of stuck in the inner sleeve of inner seam of the sleeve. And I was like, what the fuck? And I pull it out. It's a long piece of dead skin. I look back here and I got a big piece missing off my left tricep. So that's always going to happen. You just have to deal with it. It's just part of the game. It'll never go away. Let me think here. My phone was going off a second ago. Ryan Kennelly is texting me right now. Let's see what he says. I'm not shitting you. We can read that. It's Ryan Kennelly. You probably can't read that. I'm sorry. It is Ryan. Just booked our Arnold trip. What is your lifting schedule at the day of the Arnold? Ashley lifts Friday at the Expo, but we want to be at your lifting event and not miss it. Nice floor presses, by the way. Well, thanks, Ryan. Must have seen my video. I'll get that on the show for sure. Can't wait to see you guys there. I love that man to death, and Ashley is so fucking cool. I love those guys. P.S. I got the magazine cover of mine that I scribbled on last year for you, and I'm bringing it to sign for you again. This time you'll be able to read what I signed. I brought him a magazine because he made the cover of, it wasn't Powerlifting USA, it was a different magazine, like Power USA or something like that. Because he got his fire beanie on, he's fucking going like this in his denim shirt. I got it off eBay for like $20. I brought it to the Arnold. I was so excited. I said, Ryan, can you fucking sign this? I was like a fucking little schoolboy. And he was like holding it like this with his marker. And he got real frustrated with it. He's kind of like, no, and gave it back. And we hung out the whole weekend. It wasn't like I saw him and I never, we were hanging out the whole weekend. But he felt really, really bad. He chicken scratched this thing. So he's bringing me a replica and signing it like nicely so I can actually read it. But I got the original, the OG, in my closet up here. Then he says, I'm not coming out there super puffy this time because he blew up to walk around the Arnold this past year. I was huffing and puffing all over the Arnold because I put that 28 pounds on in 3 weeks. I think maybe 2. That was just for Dave Tate's show. So, okay. So it was for him to look enormous on Dave Tate's Table Talk. So I will answer him back in a little while. Love Ryan to death, guy. He is my hero. He is the reason why I do this to this day. And I think he is the greatest equipped bencher of all time. I will say that to the day I fucking pass away, however soon or later it'll be. Ryan Kennelly is the greatest of all time. There will never be another Ryan Kennelly. And I'm so glad I get to know him and talk with him. And I don't get to see him very often. Of course, we couldn't be further apart. Unless I was on the southern tip of Florida, that might be further apart, but I'm on the East Coast in Virginia, and he is on the West Coast in Washington State. We could not be further apart, at least in this country. Let's see what we got here. Thomas says, would you think it's easier to get a max grip in a one-ply poly with a lower bar height than normal, so it's easier to reach, but needs more further unrack and more lift-off help? Yes, absolutely it would, because when you do that, if the bar is lower in the rack, you are like contorting, you're like twisting your arms and stuff, and your elbows are caving it, getting handcuffed like this to grab the bar. And they're going to have to pick the bar way, 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 way up for you to straighten out your arms and then take the hand off. So yeah, it'll be much harder to do. I actually recommend not doing that. The bar should be fairly high to where when you do set your grip, you're not completely locked out in the rack, but you're almost locked out. And then they hand the bar to you, you're in perfect position. Like, why go through all that hassle before the bar even leaves the rack? This is save yourself some steps and don't do that. The X748 says, how does world records work? Is it different for each organization? Yes, it is. That's why I don't really like world records anymore. The one I do is RPS that Alex runs. I do not remember his last name. Alexander Amand. He was just on here a little bit ago. Alexander Amand. Alex the Kilt guy. Fucking awesome dude. Known him for a long time. Real good friends with Gene Richlack when he was still alive. He just purchased the bench that Gene Richlack benched his original 1,000 pounds on. It'll be over at Mass Iron. He also is getting he didn't say this was secret information, so I feel like I couldn't say it. He's also purchasing the bench that Ted Arcidi benched the original First History 700-pound bench on. It's all going to be at Mass Iron in Massachusetts. Good place to go visit. I hosted a seminar there last year. Great group of people. Went out to eat afterwards. Mass Iron. Great gym. Great people. I love Alex. I love his wife, Sabrina. Awesome people. World records. Let's just say I'm rounding down. Okay, I am rounding down by a considerable margin. Let's say there's 50 federations. Okay. Do it on my phone. All right, there's 50 federations. Each federation has 123, 132, 148, 165, 181, 198, 220, 242, 275, 308, super heavyweight, 11 weight classes, okay? Each weight class has, oh, good grief, teenage, 1, 2, 3, and junior, and open, and sub-open, and masters. Let's say 10, just round up to 10. There's 11 weight classes and 10 divisions. And then there's male, female, whatever. So there is There's one more aspect to that. Let me think. And then you got drug free, you got not drug free, you've got, so I mean there's thousands upon thousands, and that's rounding down, possible world records that you could get, right? So yeah, world records, it's just per federation. So the RPS has its own RPS world records. The IPA has its own IPA world record. I was out in Vegas in December. I was out there watching the Wabdol Worlds, and they have their own Wabdol world records. And some people were benching like 150 pounds. And it was a world record because you got the age groups, you got the divisions, and this own federation with its own rules and rule books and stuff. So that's how world records work. And I have not shot for world records really and truly since probably 2020 was the last time I really thought about an actual like standing record. But I've always chased what's called ATWRs, all-time world records. That's what I'm chasing. That's what I care about. So a world record just means the world record for that division in that weight class in that federation. That's what a world record is. And all-time world records means the heaviest weight ever done, regardless of federation, regardless of age, just the 220 all-time world record single ply bench. The super heavyweight all-time world record bench, the heaviest ever done, regardless of weight, regardless of age, regardless of equipment used, just heaviest weight period. That's what I'm chasing, all-time world records. That disregards federation affiliation, really your age. You're just really concerned with weight class. So that's what I'm chasing. So that's the difference there. I haven't really worried about world records in so fucking long because I started realizing like, well, Jesus Christ, like there's I said 50 for that math equation there. It's probably more like 100 plus now. There's new ones popping up all the damn time with their own rule books and their own world records and their own meets and their own Jesus Christ, So that's where I'm at. Have been for a while. I think currently I'd have to go back and check my notes. I couldn't tell you accurately. I think I currently own 6. I think it's 6 or 7 all-time world record benches currently in 4 different weight classes. So that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm concerned with. Not that the records is really my ends to all means. I'm more concerned with the end goal, what I want to get out of the sport, my personal goals. But to say I haven't thought about records would be a complete fucking lie at the same time. So it's a double-edged sword. But that was long-winded, but that's I'm very passionate about that. That's how it works. And Quentin says Ryan sounds like a real character. Ryan is one of a kind. He is so good at being himself. He loves who he is. He's an absolute master at what he's done. Great, like I said before, greatest bencher to ever fucking live. Just a monster. Could have stepped on, if he lost a little bit of weight in his midsection, could have stepped on stage and been a bodybuilder. Just massive, huge, just the epitome of what I've always wanted to be. You know what I mean? So Ryan's my hero. I say that all the time. I've said it to his face. I've said it on his lives on Thursday nights. But you are my hero. You realize that? Like I'm doing this because you inspired me as a 14-year-old kid. When I was 14, that was 2004. The 800-pound bench had just been done. Ryan Kennelly was the first human being to bench 800 pounds. I think it was 2003. I hope I got that right. Someone wants to fact check it, but I think it was 2003. Ryan Kennelly, 800 pounds. I believe it was at a Wabdol meet. And I was 13 when he did that. I was 14 when I started lifting weights. So that bench had just been done. And that's what inspired me to get into this. And he's inspired me ever since, even to this day. Thomas says, yeah, well, going through the hassle because you can reach the bar easier and therefore maybe get easier. Fed that should not be named BS to your max grip, but I have no clue what polys are unknown to me. Yeah, Polys are very, very tricky. Very, very, very tricky. Powerlifting is cool. Says, any tips on developing arching mobility? Do you have to arch differently when you wear a shirt? If so, how? Nope. It's the exact same as raw. I'm not a good person to ask because I'm not mobile whatsoever, but I can arch like a son of a bitch. I've just worked on my arch and my upper back strength and my upper back muscle, muscular endurance in order to hold that arch, because you could have the strength to maintain an arch that comes from your upper back. You don't build an arch from your lower back. It's all thoracic, okay, your upper back. You have to be able to have the muscle strength to A, build the arch, and B, have the muscular endurance strength over time to hold the arch throughout the entire duration of the lift, which is very, very difficult sometimes. Some dude, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a little bit. Sorry if this question was asked already, just got here. Was just wondering if you would consider doing a raw bench only meet in the next 5 years. Probably not. I have no interest whatsoever. I chose my path a very, very long time ago to do equipped. I was just kind of giving the story about Ryan Kennelly inspiring Mr. Young Jimmy Kolb at 14 years old. Got my first bench shirt at 18. It was a double ply Karen Klein denim. I have one in my locker at the gym as a keepsake memorabilia, and I never looked back. So nope, I have no interest in raw. I probably never do it. It's not on my radar whatsoever. Not even on the back burner. It's not even there. It's just like I said, I'm enjoying what I'm doing the way I'm doing it because that's what matters, right? Do what you do that makes you happy. People can bitch and moan all they want. It means nothing to me. I'm not weak-minded enough to let internet people who don't even have names influence my decisions. Like, well, I'm gonna Mr. _7489, said that I can't blah blah blah. I can't bench blah 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 without blah. And I'm gonna prove that. I'm gonna prove that comment wrong. You don't even know. It's so stupid. Life's too short to please others. No, I believe in being a good person, and I like coming on here and talking to everybody and giving as much information as I possibly can, answering as many questions as I can. I love doing this, but like at the same time, I'm not bench pressing these fucking insane loads for anybody but besides me. I have friends, I've got training partners, I've got my wife, got my family, but I'm doing it for me. I got people that believe in me, people that I hopefully inspire some people, but like, I don't do this to please anybody but myself. So I'm going to do what makes me happy. And I think that's the most important thing here. I didn't take it as disrespect. No, you don't gotta backtrack. It's fine, dude. No, I didn't take it that way. I'm just explaining like that's how I feel. Your 1,000 bench for reps was crazy. You think shoulder tricep strength is more important for the bench press? Yeah, I mean, well, everything has to be strong. Your shoulders, your pecs, your back, your everything, your triceps, your grip, your forearms, everything has to, your biceps, your entire upper body has to be bulletproof strong, but your triceps have to be the strongest. If your pecs overpower your triceps under max load, your body will naturally rely on what's the strongest. So if you're pec dominant, you're going to peck everything, and that's where you're going to rip a muscle. If you are triceps dominant, if your triceps overpower your shoulders and your back and your chest, your body will naturally rely on the strongest pressing muscle. The triceps do the majority of the work. And that's what we want to be, is tricep dominant. It has gone over an hour. I want to go ahead and start doing my plugs real quick. Of course, I've talked a lot about Anderson Powerlifting here tonight, guys. I've been an athlete with Anderson Powerlifting for 13 years. Use code Kolbstrong, KOLBSTRONG, my Instagram handle, for 10% off anything in the store besides the F8 Sportcraft bench bar. 10% off everything in your order besides the bench bar. We also have the Kolbstrong Scholarship, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show. We are sponsoring 4 athletes this year. So if you have anybody that you know, or if you yourself are between the ages of 13 to 23, and you are a competitive powerlifter, and that can be proven, go to KolbstrongScholarship.com, do the application process. Throughout the entire month of January, we accept applications. February, we start going through them. We pick the ones that need it the most and start cutting $1,000 checks to send to you or to whoever you are recommending. So again, go to KolbstrongScholarship.com and fill out the application process. If you are 13 to 23, or you know somebody who's 13 to 23 who is a competitive powerlifter, get $1,000 if we pick you. It's hard because we get 80 entries and we can only pick 4. That's tough because we got to turn 76 people down. That sucks, but is what it is. Yeah, that's about it, I think. Patreon, really quick. If you want to watch what I do, every set of every rep of every movement that I do in the gym that leads me to these big bench presses, both in training that you can see on Instagram or on the competition platform, go to patreon.com, Kolbstrong at patreon.com, subscribe for $10 a month, $10 I didn't say $10 a night, $10 a month. You can see everything that I do in the gym, all the behind the scenes work that lead me to these big bench presses. If you don't want to go on Patreon, that's fine. I've been running it for almost 4 years. April 5th is my 4-year anniversary. Go to YouTube, Jimmy Kolb right here, and subscribe to my members. Same content, same price, $10 to watch everything that I do in the gym. So, hey, you all have a great night. I will be back on here for Benching and Bullshitting. This is episode 61, episode 101 of our podcast altogether. You can listen to this on Spotify, any platform that has podcasts on it pretty much now. Next Monday night at 8 p.m., I will be back on here. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm looking forward to talking to you all then. Please have a good rest of your night. Stay strong. We'll see you next time.